Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Listeners, I'm Munawar Saaq from Bond Adam Solicitors. As you know that on every Tuesday at 10 past 4 we do a legal show. We have our famous legal show from Bond Adam Solicitors. And I'm joined with my very experienced and partner of the firm in the litigation department, Mr. Rashid Sakrani. Mr. Sakrani, can you introduce yourself as well and what area of law you deal with? As I
Assalamu alaikum, listeners. My name is Rashid Sakrani. I'm one of the solicitor partners at Bond Adam Solicitors. I predominantly do contentious and non-contentious commercial work. So pretty much all kinds of disputes, as we're a full-service law firm. Just to give you a bit of background, we have 4 offices across the country, 2 offices in Leicester, Birmingham, and just outside of London in Aldershot. So for all your queries, generic queries, please email us at lawyers@bondadams.com. Or if you have specific immigration query, which inshallah Munawwar will be covering today, please email immigration@bondadams.com. If you prefer to give us a call, please call us on 0116 285 8080. So, turning to the legal show itself. So, Assalamu alaikum, Munawwar.
Walaikum Assalam, Rashid. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, very well. So, Munawwar, can you just tell the listeners what you will be covering today?
As we do this, I regularly come on this radio show. It's very interesting because we receive a lot of inquiries out of this, and then I'd love to help people who have stuck on 1 or 2 points. And mostly people, the general inquiries comes around very often is about spouse applications and how how they can meet rules, and everybody have slightly different circumstances. So they are stuck. Maybe they're thinking they are not able to make this application, but I always tell them instead of you making that decision, why you don't go take your documents to a solicitor, so any qualified solicitor or any legal representative who will go through your documents and then advise you what would be the best course of action. And they might tell you, even you thinking you can't make this application, but there might be some ways in which you can meet the rules and then do the application. So don't make that judgment yourself. Always try to go to take a legal advice. So mainly we will be covering spouse applications and various ways of meeting the rules, and what are the basic requirements and what are the specific requirements which the applicants has to meet.
Oh, that's brilliant, Munawwar. I'm sure most of us can agree that of people that are always looking for expertise in this field. Munawwar, tell us a bit more about spouse application in terms of, how, for example, give us a bit of a background about the rules now. Are they different to how they were before? People who are looking to, for example, bring a spouse from outside of the UK, why is it different to, for example, marrying a spouse here?
So first of all, actually, thank you very much for giving this opportunity. And people sometimes think like it's very difficult. They don't want to go and explore the avenues. Like maybe they have somebody who they wish to marry outside the UK, but they don't do that because they are scared that there is so many complications involved to bring the spouse after marriage here. Yes, I can imagine there are some extra work they have to do, and there's sometimes it becomes very, very difficult to bring these spouses here. However, if, as I said earlier, if you consult to a legal representative or qualified solicitor, they will tell you they can make your life easy, and they will tell you the ways you can bring them here. So first of all, in order to bring your spouse, you need to be, there are some basic requirements that you need to be above 18 to get married to somebody abroad. Then this is genuine marriage. And when you say genuine marriage, the marriage should be recognized in the country they are married. Like in various countries, requirements are differs from country to country. Let's say, for example, in South Africa and African countries, you even can marry according to the local laws where the person is physically not present and then their a legal representative, which can be their relatives, they can go to court, and then they can register their civil marriage in on their behalf in the court. And in other countries like Asian countries, it's slightly difficult because they need to have a marriage registered. They have to do nikahs, and according to the local laws of their countries, so India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, they have to register their marriage over there. So this is a very basic requirement, and then you need to meet in person, and the marriage should have been sermonized and according to the local laws. So this is a very basic requirement which you have to fulfill, and I think most people are concerned about the financial requirement, how they can meet that. So there are various categories where they can meet the financial requirement of Home Office to bring the spouses over to the UK. The very famous and very basic one is if somebody is employed and they must be earning £18,600, and it's a gross income, it's not a net, so which means that even some people can get confused. This is a very common inquiries which we receive, that well, my net income is less than £18,600. But we always tell them the Home Office requirement doesn't state that it needs to be net income. It needs to be the gross income, which should be above the basic financial requirements threshold. And that's it's not only that. Then if you need to be working for the same employer for 6 months or more. If it's less than that, then you might have to wait maybe to complete that 6 months with the same employer. But however, if you have worked for another employer for last 12 months or more, even less than 12 months, but you have earned in the last 12 months prior to the date of application £18,600, and your new job with the new employer will give you is £18,600, then you still can make an application. And some people, like, just recently changed the job, and this is another very common query. They say that, oh, we have to wait for 6 months because we have just started our new job. So they don't need to wait. All they need to do is go back, calculate how much they earn in the last 12 months prior to switching the job. And if they started the new job, even they have first month there, second, third, fourth, so it doesn't matter. So as long as they have a total income of £18,600 in the last 12 months. Some people have maybe earned this in last 8 months, because if they are on a higher salary, they might have earned this in 7, 8, 9, 10 months. They don't need to go by not restricted to 12 months only. So if they have earned this in 10 months, then they can show that in last 10 months they have earned that. So then they can make the application. This is category B of immigration rules. Have category A, that you have to have, if this is a new job and you haven't worked previously in any job which have given you £18,600, then you have to wait. In the category A, you have to wait for to complete 6 months, and you must be earning gross annual income of £18,600.
Just so that I'm clear, Munawar.
Yeah.
So category A applies to 6 months of continuous employment with the same employer.
That's right.
However, category B is for someone who has a break in the chain.
Yes.
Or someone who switched jobs, so the employment has changed.
Yes.
Or if they need to demonstrate the 18,600 in 12 months as opposed to 6 months.
That's right. Yes.
So you're saying anything less than 12 months is sufficient.
Yes.
But anything over 12 months is not sufficient. So
yes.
what if I've earned 18,600 in the last 13 months?
That's not good enough? That's not good enough, yeah.
Okay. So how about if, for example, Munawar, if I've earned £18,000 in the last 12 months because I've had a job A, job B, I've had a few changes.
Yes.
But then in that same period, I've been selling, for example, mobile phones, and I've made a profit of, let's say, £5,000. So what is the criteria? Can you mix and match?
Yes, you can. There is you went to completely different section of.
I'm really sorry.
No, that's fine. That's not a problem. This is exactly what the real life scenario happens.
People. The cost of living. People have multiple jobs today.
That's right. And then you can mix and match different categories. So so you are employed and earning £18,600, and on the other hand, you are doing some business on which you and made £5,000 profit, which will you have to declare to HMRC under a self-employment. And the difficulty in employment and self-employment is need to be for the same tax year. So with employment is always like you paying, you getting money and you paying tax in a real time, and with self-employment, you are earning money and you paying tax in 1 year arrears. So you, let's say for example, if whatever income you have earned in 2022 to April 2022 to April 2023, you're gonna pay the tax in January. You have time January 2024. So that's why the Home Office doesn't allow some categories to join together. However, the how you can resolve this issue is if you have a savings of certain amount of money in your account, which we call savings, category savings is category D of immigration appendix financial threshold, which states that if there is a deficiency of from £18,600, you can top it up with savings, but that savings needs to be in your account for 6 months or more. So let's say, for example, if you, and that the savings start from anything which is 16,000 plus. So let's say somebody have 16 account even for more than 6 months, less than 16,000, that would not count towards the financial threshold. However, if somebody have £20,000 sitting in their account and £16,000, they have to minus it, and the rest £4,000 they need to divide on 2.5. This is the 2.5 years visa they're gonna get, and they can add £1,600 if they have £20,000 sitting in their bank account for the last 6 months. So they can utilize £1,600 from that money. However, coming back to your question, that whether they can mix and match two categories, the answer, unfortunately, is no. With employment and self-employment, they can't. But employment and saving, and self-employment and saving, and any other category, like some people can get income from, like they own a property, they receive rental incomes, or maybe some people are receive any benefits from, for example, if somebody is receiving any disability living allowance or a personal independence allowance, they can add towards the income they are earning. So these categories can be combined, but self-employment, unfortunately, and employment cannot be combined purely for the reason that they are for a different tax year. They are dealing with the different tax years.
Exactly, Munawar. That's in fact a very very interesting explanation. I'm sure the viewers, listeners will agree that it's not as straightforward as
Yes.
sometimes it seems. Often I hear the expressions, or I hear from people, you should just, oh, it's lawyers are expensive. You should just do your own application. So touching on that subject, lawyers are expensive, and you should do your own application. So I'm not going to defend the fact that lawyers are not expensive. That's a very subjective thing. Some people don't have the time. Some people will agree. Some people will defend lawyers' charges. Some people will say that they do find lawyers expensive. But
Very true.
what would you say are the pitfalls of? So I want to focus on not the pros and cons, just the pitfalls of making your own application. So why would you advise someone against making their own application?
It's very, very common question which we get from our clients as well. They ring us, they take the basic advice, and then they say that, oh, can we do the application themselves? And I always advise, honestly, I said that yes, if you have time, if you know the rules, then you can try. There's no harm. But the thing is that you need to understand the law properly. So the fact that I'm telling you here that you need to do A, B, C, D, it might sound very, very simple and very straightforward. When you gonna put everything together, you need to think, like, for example, one error. Many people have made that error who made this application themselves. Unfortunately, they came back after they have done the application, and then they consulted, and then they said that, oh, we were meeting the rules, but Home Office didn't agree and they refused the application. So what happened? A person was earning £18,600, and he was working in a very big organization, like similar to Tesco and Asda. And however, for some reason, he had to go on unpaid leave because he had some personal injury claim where they didn't agree, and then they started again. However, when he was doing that, he thought maybe he can make that application, and what, because in last payslip he didn't get £1,550, which was a minimum requirement for every month, because they are salaried employment, under a salaried employment, which means that they know their hours and they know their basic pay, and then they get paid for their holidays. So this is a salaried employment. So if somebody is in salaried employment and they provide 6 months bank statement, every single wage slips, every 6 months wage slips, every single wage slip needs to be either £550 gross income or more. If it's less than that, in this case it was £1,450, it's only £100 short for a whole 6 months. But what Home Office rule says, under the appendix financial requirement, that they will pick, if somebody have received the less income in any given 6 months, then they will pick up that pay slip and multiply by that 12 into 12, and that will be their gross annual income. And the fact that maybe in 1 month you have earned more, and then in 1 month you have earned less than £1,550, you cannot have a mean average and say that, okay, in last 6 months, every month you were earning £18,600. So the Home Office requirements means that every single month you must be earning £1,550 or more. And that's because of that the application was refused, but there was nothing we can do because the damage was already done. So I won't say that don't try, but don't try if you have half of the knowledge. And if you do that, then the chances of success are very minimum. Even I have seen some solicitors, they don't do the calculation. I don't blame them. I don't know what are their understandings, or maybe they are not senior people dealing with that, and have seen application been refused by through a legal representatives, and then it becomes very hard for us to put that things on track again. And then they might achieve when you go for a cheaper legal representative of companies, then they will do bare minimum job. So of course they will try to take more work in to justify their what is income. And then if you take dealing with 10 applications at the one time, 1 week, you're not going to be able to give such sufficient time. If you're dealing with same, like they're paying, some solicitors are expensive, and then what they do, they not charge you extra, they just charge you for their time they spend on the file. So if they spend more time, then of course there will be less chances of making errors.
So generally, for example, in my field of work, what we do is we tend to charge an hourly rate of charge. That's only because we don't know, for example, how complex the work is going to be or how much time will be involved. However, in your case with immigration, would you say it's more easier for example, the listeners will be keen to know, for example, let's take you, for example, there'll be listeners out there that have probably never interacted with a lawyer before, and inshallah, I hope you never have to for bad reasons, and it's only for good, i.e. purchasing
definitely.
a house or bringing your spouse. But there'll be listeners out there, Munawwar, who are probably listening to this show and thinking, hang on a second, I am in fact thinking about going abroad, getting a
Yes.
wife from abroad, and they would like to know in advance, because sometimes you need to make an informed decision before you
Yes.
even make a decision about going abroad. You need to be able to ascertain whether you can afford the cost. So, for example, can I trouble you to explain two things here. One, what is the process of a spouse application in a nutshell, not a full detail, in a nutshell, what is the process, and what kind of cost uh, would a listener who's thinking about making an application needs to prepare for? And I don't want to know your fees specifically, but average, what should the average cost be for the lawyer fee alone?
All right. Let's start with the second part of the question, which is what is the fees, because that's easy to answer. We charge, like, if there is no refusal, it's a brand new application, they don't have history of previous marriages and stuff like that, then we charge very standard rate, which is £1,000 plus VAT. And this includes the process, and then and of course, we wish like we can charge hourly rate. But this money, we can see that people are paying the home office fees, which is around £1,000, £1,500, and they're paying immigration health surcharge, which is again roughly £1,800, and then they are just for home office and immigration health surcharge, which is to use NHS services, health services in UK when the spouse arrives here. So this comes to £2,700.
So that's fixed cost. So just to be clear here,
Yes.
the fees for NHS and Home Office, they're not your fees. So
No,
you're not taking them.
no.
That
Yes.
doesn't go to you. That
No.
goes to third parties.
Yes, exactly. These are disbursements, basically, as you say in your litigation. So this goes to Home Office and this goes to NHS services.
Is that just a one-off cost? So once I pay 2,700, is that the only cost I have, or do I have to prepare for any more costs?
So some, like say for example, in India, Pakistan, there are some centers. I think in Pakistan is Mirpur, in India in Gujarat, I think Ahmedabad. They sometimes they have to do fingerprints. After some, it will be process of the application. So they have to book their biometrics, which is fingerprints and digital photograph, and some centers do charge user charges, like there is service user charges, that if you use that center, there is I think £55 you have to pay extra to just go to that center, to use that center. Otherwise, if you go to Lahore, Islamabad, or Karachi in Pakistan, and Bombay, Delhi, and in Cochin in South India, so they are free of cost, so there is no extra cost. So these costs, which we always try, we can't anticipate because we don't know where the client want to get their biometrics done. Sometimes what happens, there is one center they want to go, let's say for example Islamabad, there's no appointment available, so they say that okay, let's go to Mirpur. So there's choice whether they want to incur that charges or not.
So there could be additional charges.
Yes.
And is that's not UK? That's subject to
Yes,
who the applicant is and where they're based.
that's right.
So just reminding the viewers, the client would be the person abroad, not the spouse or husband. That's
Yes, in the British.
Seerah.
Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
so that's fine. So I'm assuming if the client is abroad, is there VAT payable on your
Yes,
charges?
no, there is no VAT. Sorry, my mistake. So there is no VAT. If the client is abroad, then it depends. Some clients say that okay, we don't want the applicants to be our client, which we always say that because we need to see who giving us instruction and who are taking our services. So we're receiving instruction from a sponsor, but we're dealing with. We are working on behalf of the applicant. So we try to merge the both scenarios and then say that okay, we will speak to client sponsor on behalf of a client, and then we get permission from the applicant. But we always try to make the applicant himself or herself our client, so to avoid any confusion and to avoid any to be clear on instructions, and also it will benefit because the client is abroad, so it doesn't attract any VAT.
Okay, that's quite helpful. Munawar.
So Rashid, our organizers, Radio Seerah, they are trying to push us, keep saying to me that in my microphone that we need to go to a commercial break. We have sponsors, so they have sponsored them.
We still have a lot to get through, Munawar. This
That's
is a
right.
very interesting discussion because I know the listeners are very pleased because I know this is a very hot topic.
Yes, it is.
And we still have many more questions to go through. So, viewers, we will be going on a very short commercial break and we'll be back very soon.
کرتے ہیں وعدہ دید کا رب ارنی پر جلال، رب ارنی پر جلال، لن ترانی دیکھیے، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، لب خاموشان محبت کی نگاہ پاک سے، لب خاموشان محبت کی نگاہ پاک سے، ایک نظر میں مردہ دل کی، ایک نظر میں مردہ دل کی زندگانی دیکھیے، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، جلوہ گاہ حق دلے عارف کی آہیں گرم میں، جلوہ گاہ حق دلے عارف کی آہیں گرم میں، بارگاہ کبریا کی، بارگاہ کبریا کی ترجمانی دیکھیے، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، اللہ اللہ عشق کی یہ بے زبانی دیکھیے، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، یوں تو عاشق بے زباں معلوم ہوتا ہے مگر، یوں تو عاشق بے زباں معلوم ہوتا ہے مگر، عشق کی تفسیر میں جا، عشق کی تفسیر میں جادو بیانی دیکھیے، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، عاشقوں کا منبر دل پر بیان درد دل، عاشقوں کا منبر دل پر بیان درد دل، وعظ میں آمیزش، وعظ میں آمیزش درد نہانی دیکھیے، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، داستان زخم دل اختر چھپاتا تھا مگر، داستان زخم دل اختر چھپاتا تھا مگر، روز محشر داغ دل کی، روز محشر داغ دل کی گلفشانی دیکھیے، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، ہے زباں خاموش اور آنکھوں سے ہے دریا رواں، اللہ اللہ عشق کیے، اللہ اللہ عشق کیے بے زبانی دیکھیے، है ज़ुबां खामोश और आँखों से है दरिया रवां, है ज़ुबां खामोश और आँखों से है दरिया रवां.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners. It's Rashid here and Munawar from Bond Adam Solicitors. Welcome back to the famous legal radio show of Bond Adams. Every Tuesdays from 10 past 4 until 10 to 5. So just to remind the listeners, we have 4 offices across England, depending on where you are. We have an office in Birmingham, one just outside of London in Aldershot, and 2 in Leicester. You can contact us on 0116 285 8080, or alternatively, if you have an inquiry and you wish to email us, please email us on lawyers@bondadams.com. As our talk today is on immigration, if you have any specific immigration inquiries, please email us on immigration@bondadams.com. So just to remind the viewers, listeners, my colleague here, Munawar, he was walking the listeners through the process of spouse application. So I'm going to hand it back over to Munawar.
Welcome back, listeners. And as you know that we are doing this our famous Radio Seerah legal show. And if you have any queries, you can call us on 0116 384 786, or you can WhatsApp your queries on 0730 582 8351. So if you, I'm going to continue where we left before we went on a commercial break. That process of spouse application. So how it works, Rashid, I just want to give you the breakdown of the steps. So first up, like somebody here got married, and then he want to bring some spouses over to the UK. So they need to do online application, which is available on gov.uk. It's very easily foundable. So you just need to say that spouse application, and there is it gets confused a little bit when it says extension application or a new application. So you can say that it's a new application or application from abroad, outside the UK. And once you've done the application, at the end of the application, as I said, that you have to pay immigration health surcharge, which is £624 per year, and Home Office normally gives the first visa for 33 months, which is just over 2.5 years, and you have to pay this fees and accordingly. And then Home Office fees is around £1,500, 1,500 I think, 30 or £35. These fees keep change, and the Home Office updates them on their website. So it's better to check that when you make the application, what is the applicable fee at that time. And once you submit the application, then you have to book an appointment at a visa application center in the country where the applicant resides. So it could be Pakistan, India, Gulf, America, Australia, wherever the applicant who wish to join the spouse in the UK. And once they go there, before they go there, so we need to either if somebody instruct us, then we do that part, which is quite important, that we need to upload the document in relevant sections according to the Home Office requirement before they go to their biometrics appointment, which is a digital fingerprints and digital photographs they have to provide to Home Office on this in the visa application centers. We call them VAC. And they also keep the applicant's passport if the applicant wish to travel during their application is being decided. They can keep the passport, but they have to pay around £200 fees to keep the passport with them, because this process can take up to 12 weeks time, so 3 months. And however, you have a option to pay extra, which is £573 to get a priority service. What happens, like Home Office will try to put your application in front of the queue, but again it's only the reduction in the time is only half. So instead of 12 weeks, you will get a decision in 6 weeks time.
So the average waiting time an hour, if if I was to put my application in today
Yes,
under the normal route,
yes,
which I understand is the cheaper option,
yes.
you're suggesting the average wait time is about 12 weeks
That's right. Yes, and
before
it's
a decision
reduced.
is made.
Yeah, this is reduced because of in COVID and because of Ukraine war. So Home Office have to deploy a lot of their workers in dealing with these people, and the actual waiting time went from 12 weeks to 24 weeks, and they have suspended the priority service as well.
So today, if I want to make an application using the priority service, I can't.
Yes, you can. They have resumed the service in March.
Also, the services have been resumed.
Yes, but they have actually become very good in meeting the standard service time of 12 weeks, but sometimes it does goes above than that without any explanation.
So there's no guarantees, but more than
Yes,
likelihood,
yes, that's
on
right.
average,
So
12 weeks.
yeah, so I would say that 80 to 85% application do get decided within that time, but 15% to 20% they sometimes they get stuck, and it depends on caseworker as well, how busy they are and how quickly they can process each application, and they because you were in a queue anyway, so it can be like if they are stuck on a case which are complex, they might spend more time dealing with that, and then it will automatically delay the rest of the applications.
That's you know what, quite frankly, that's not too bad. I was always under the impression that it takes a lot longer than that. I don't know, for
Yeah.
some reason I was under the impression it takes, maybe 6 months or a year, which
No, no.
I understand can be quite off-putting for
That's right.
many people who are contemplating marrying abroad, but the time frame it takes, the resources, the time, the effort, and a lot of people are discouraged by that. So I'm quite grateful, Munawar, that the listeners get the benefit of your information, which
No,
is
thank you.
12 weeks, and of course,
If you pay
if
extra,
some people can afford to pay extra,
that's right.
then they can even get a decision in around the 6-week mark. So that's
Yes.
quite helpful to know. So Munawar, let's say I put the application in, and alhamdulillah it works out, and your partner's being granted visa to come in. Is that it? Is that so? Once they come, is that the process complete,
Yes.
or is there any more once they arrive here?
No, very good question, Rafiq. Rashid. Yes, so that's part one of the application. So what happens? Home Office used to in before 2012, people used to get 1 year's visa or maybe maximum 2 years visa, and after 2 years they can apply for indefinite leave to remain. But now the Home Office has changed the rules, and they have extended the time period for the grant of indefinite leave to remain from 2 years to 5 years. So you will get a 2.5 years visa, a 33 months visa, and 3 months they give you allowance to to deal with your matters and you to come to the UK. And after spending 2.5 years, you have to make another application to extend your visa for another second part of 5 years. So before you will be granted indefinite leave to remain, and then you have to meet all the threshold again. So and then one very important a requirement which I have not mentioned in our part one before the commercial is that the applicant have to pass a English language test at a A1 level, which is very basic level, and they only need to pass the basic speaking and listening, and it's A2 A1 level, which is very basic and basic English language test. However, it needs to be done by a UK VI, which is Home Office approved centres.
Okay, Munawar, I'm really sorry to interject. I can see that this talk is very interesting. I'm receiving message as well. However, unfortunately, our time on the show today has come to an end.
Well, that's
So what
very
I
quick.
will do, what I have gathered is that this is a very interesting and a broad topic.
That's right, I agree.
And my assumption is that, from what I understand, is we've probably not even covered half the talk on this subject. So what I
No.
suggest is, let's label this show the part one,
Okay.
and then inshallah what we do is because it's been such an interesting discussion, and hopefully the listeners have been very intrigued to listen to the show. Let's inshallah rearrange for what I call a part two, the prequel.
Okay.
So listeners, keep your ears peeled, inshallah, and we will arrange. Me and Munawar will return in the near future, and inshallah we will finish the show off. Thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you very much, and speak to you soon. Allah Hafiz, and have a good rest of the day.
اس چہرہ انور کا دیدار کرا جانا، اے عشق نبی دل میں میرے بھی سما جانا، مجھ کو بھی محمد کا دیوانہ بنا جانا، دیدار محمد کی حسرت تو رہے باقی، دیدار محمد کی حسرت تو رہے باقی، جز اس کے ہر ایک حسرت اس دل سے مٹا جانا، جز اس کے ہر ایک حسرت اس دل سے مٹا جانا، اے عشق نبی دل میں میرے بھی سما جانا، مجھ کو بھی محمد کا دیوانہ بنا جانا، دنیا سے ریاض ہو جب عقبہ کی طرف جانا، دنیا سے ریاض ہو جب عقبہ کی طرف جانا، داغ غم احمد سے سینے کو سجا جانا، داغ غم احمد سے سینے کو سجا جانا، اے عشق نبی دل میں میرے بھی سما جانا، مجھ کو بھی محمد کا دیوانہ بنا جانا، اے عشق نبی دل میں میرے بھی سما جانا۔
غريب زماني وفيه العجب، ففيه التراب يساوي الذهب، وفيه أناس تحب السبات وتغفو بجهل ودفن الكتب، رجال تعالت بزعم الفنون تجاهد تبكي لأجل الطرب، شباب يقلد فسق الشعوب، وشوم ونفخ مثال الشنب.
ومنهم تأناث مثل النساء يربي ذيولا كمثل الذنب عفيفات طهر خيالا تصير رفيع مقام فتاة اللاعب فتاة اللاعب وبعض النساء بفجر تهين وتخفيه طهرا بثوب الكذب نفاق وكذب خلوق تكون صريح بصدق قليل الأدب سفيه يجادل شيخ العلوم ويسمو بحمق سفيه العرب صديق يجامل عند رضاي ويكفر فيا بوقت الغضب نفارق حبا يريد الوفاء ونبحث عنه لنفس السبب غريبون نحن وليس الزمان فكم ذاق منا عيوبا عجاب فكم ذاق منا عيوبا عجاب خلف آلام الكهولة وبكل آمال الطفولة قم أيها الجد الكبير فلم تزل فينا الرجولة فلم تزل فينا الرجولة
جدي فديتك لا تسل دمع الخدود جدي سنكسر كل أغلال القيود وسيرجع الأقصى لتنعم بالسجود
وستسمع التكبير وستسمع التكبير
وستسمع التكبير وستسمع التكبير وستسمع التكبير يصدح في الوجود.
You're listening to Radio Seerah. Now it's time for the news.
A man who murdered a 7-year-old girl and evaded justice for over 3 decades will serve life with a minimum of 29 years behind bars. Nikki Allen was abducted near her family home in Sunderland in 1992. Her mum, Sharon Henderson, has spoken outside Newcastle Crown Court.
I would have been satisfied with life, and I thought life would have meant life without parole. I've been let down again by the justice system and the police force.
Advances in DNA led to his conviction. Mrs Justice Lambert handed Mr Boyd his sentence.
You caused Nikki great mental suffering in the minutes before her loss of consciousness. She was in a cold, pitch-black building. Her terror at what was to befall her as you stalked her in that building is unimaginable.
Police have apologised for mistakes in the original investigation. The paedophile and disgraced entertainer Rolf Harris has died. His family have confirmed it happened earlier this month. Police dogs, dinghies, divers and teams combing the ground all form part of a new search of a reservoir in Portugal in the investigation into missing Madeleine McCann. A new operation's been triggered after tip-offs. The godmother of a teenage boy who died in a crash in Cardiff thinks tension with police at the scene led to riots, which saw fireworks thrown at officers. Another teenager also died. Social Justice Minister Jane Hutt's been asked about it in the Senedd.
I do understand that South Wales Police have made arrests in connection with the disorder and that more will follow.
The South Wales force denied chasing the pair. Government borrowing came in higher than expected last month at £25.5 billion. That's £7.7 billion more than economists had predicted. And in football, Celtic's Kyogo Furuhashi is this year's Scottish Premiership Player of the Season after his 25 goals in the league. Meanwhile, Bukayo Saka signed a long-term contract extension with Arsenal. That's the latest. I'm Anna Bates.
You're listening to Radio Seerah, 1575 AM. Full-time Islamic community radio station.
You're listening to Radio Seerah. Please visit our website on www.radioseerah.com. You're listening to Radio Seerah, available now on our apps on Android and Apple.
You're listening to Radio Seerah, 1575 AM. Full-time Islamic community radio station.
मुस्तफ़ा जाने रहमत पे लाखों सलाम मुस्तफ़ा जाने रहमत पे लाखों सलाम शमाए बज़ में हिदायत पे लाखों सलाम शमाए बज़ में हिदायत पे लाखों सलाम हम गरीबों के आका पे बेहद दरूद हम फकीरों की सरवत पे लाखों सलाम हम गरीबों की सरवत पे लाखों सलाम महरे चरग़े नबूवत पे रोशन दरूद महर चरग़े नबूवत पे रोशन दरूद गुले बाग़े रिसालत पे लाखों सलाम गुले बाग़े रिसालत पे लाखों सलाम शहरे यारे इरम ताजदारे हरम शहर यारे इरम ताजदारे हरम नौबहारे शिफाअत पे लाखों सलाम नौबहारे शिफाअलाम मुस्तफ़ा जाने रहमत पे लाखों सलाम मुस्तफ़ा जाने रहमत पे लाखों सलाम हम गरीबों के आका पे बेहद दरूद 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 हम फकीरों की सरवत पे लाखों सलाम हम गरीबों की सरवत पे लाखों सलाम मुस्तफ़ा जाने रहमत पे लाखों सलाम मुस्तफ़ा जाने रहमत पे लाखों सलाम शमाए बज़ में हिदायत पे लाखों सलाम शमाए बज़ में हिदायत पे लाखों सलाम उसकी बातों की लज़्ज़त पे लाखों दरूद उसकी बातों की लज़्ज़त पे लाखों दरूद उसके खुतबे की हैबत पे लाखों सलाम, उसके खुतबे की हैबत पे लाखों सलाम। अर्श ता फर्श है जिसके ज़ेरे नगी, अर्श ता फर्श है जिसके ज़ेरे नगी, उसकी काहिर रियासत पे लाखों
Bismillahi wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wasallam wa ba'd. One of the inherent teachings and values of Islam is mashwara and mutual consultation. Suffice to say in this regard that Allah has dedicated a chapter 42 by the name of Shura, mutual consultation. And Allah profiles the pious as وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ, that they resolve their matters with mutual consultation. In chapter 3, Ali Imran, verse 159, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala impresses upon the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, consult with your companions. Notwithstanding the fact that he received revelation, Allah impressed upon him to consult. When you consult, it unites the hearts and it brings a sense of togetherness, blessings and barakah. Likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about in a family setting. Today, a key issue in many homes is there's no communication because there is no mashwara. So in chapter 2, verse 233, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing the husband and wife that if they decide to wean the child off before the duration of 2 years, فَإِنْ أَرَادَا فِصَالًا عَنْ تَرَاضٍ مِّنْهُمَا وَتَشَاوُرٍ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا. And if both husband and wife decide to wean the child off for reasons they know better, and they do this year after mutual consultation, then there is no harm upon them. So a home in which there is mashwara, an organization in which there is mashwara, the hearts will be united and goodness will descend. And one very important thing in this regard is when we have mashwara, then we should not come with a decided agenda and then we just run it through people to give them the notion that we're consulting with them, because that defeats the essence of mashwara. And again, we get a cue in this regard in Juz 19, chapter 27, verse 29, when the queen of Saba received a letter from Sulaiman alayhi salam, she addressed the chieftains in her court and she said, مَا كُنْتُ قَاطِعَةً أَمْرًا حَتَّى تَشْهَدُونَ. I will not pass judgment until you are not present and you do not give input in the matter. May Allah bless us with this amazing quality in our homes, in our families, in our organizations, and this would have a positive effect in uniting the ummah, which is so fragmented.
كلما ناديت ياه قال يا عبدي أنا ما لنا مولا سوى الله كلما ناديت ياه.
وأوحينا إلى أم موسى أن أرضعيه فإذا خفت عليه فألقيه في اليم ولا تخافي ولا تحزني إنا رادوه إليك وجاعلوه من المرسلين.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. طاسيم تلك آيات الكتاب المبين نتلو عليك من نبأ موسى وفرعون بالحق لقوم يؤمنون صدق الله العظيم. So Alhamdulillah, we meet once again on the forum and on the platform of Tafsir. And as always, I invite and welcome our brothers, our sisters, our listeners and our viewers to remain connected as we embark and explore yet another chapter of the Quran. This time it is Surah Qasas. Qasas meaning story, tale, narrative. Where does it appear in the Quran? In Juz 20, chapter 28. Comprising of how many verses? 88 verses. It is a Makkiyah chapter, meaning revealed before migration. A great chunk of this chapter deals with the story, the narrative, the tale of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. We had discussed this to a certain extent in Surah Taha chapter 20. In fact, another name of that chapter is Surah Kalim, because it covers in great detail the story of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. But from a different angle and different dimensions, we will be touching again on the story of Musa alayhi salam. And to the tail end of this chapter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes it with the story of Qarun, his arrogance, his haughtiness, and how the earth had swallowed him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. That being said, as the introductory comment.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من استنى بسنته واهتدى بهديه وسار على نهجه إلى يوم الدين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وإخلاصا وحبا لك يا كريم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Last lesson, alhamdulillah, we covered, not in any depth, one of the greatest names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is the name Ar-Rahman. And we touched on Allah's name Ar-Rahim. And in today's lesson, we're going to stick on the same theme of Allah's mercy, and we're going to cover a few more names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Ghafur, At-Tawwab, and Al-Afu. So today, whoever came today, you got the mega deal. You got the 3-in-1 sale. So you should all be very excited. When you think about these names of Allah, Al-Ghafur, At-Tawwab, Al-Afu, whenever they are mentioned in the Quran, they are mentioned in pairs, not on their own. They're mentioned in pairs, two names side by side. Who can give me one example of this? Ghafur al-Rahim. Tawwab al-Rahim. Another? Has the order ever been flipped? Yes? Azizun Hakim. We stick to these names. Sami' al-Basir. Stick to the names Afu, Ghafur, Rahim. Who can tell me the name Afu in a pair? Sorry, Afu and Ghafur. Correct, yes. So you always find these names in pairs. But is there something you noticed? Ghafur al-Rahim, Tawwab al-Rahim. What do you notice? There's a pattern. The name al-Rahim always comes last. And the name al-Rahim is always there. وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الرَّحِيمُ Ghafur al-Rahim, Tawwab al-Rahim. In another part of the Quran, Rahimun Ghafur. But Rahim is consistently there. Why? This is where you need to think. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always mention His name Ar-Rahim after mentioning these other names of His?
للرحمن ذي البركات جزل العطاء ومر بالصدقات أذن الكريم بمنه وبفضله وبلطفه كم ينزل الرحمات مشروع خير في تكافل أسرة أرسى الدعائم عزمها بثبات جمعية بالخير أشرق نورها وقفية تزدان بالخيرات وقفية تزدان بالخيرات وتجود نفس الخيرين بمالهم تلقاه غرسا طيب الثمرات كل الأيادي البيض فيها أجمعات لا ترتضي عن لحمة بشتات فالقلب واحد والجموع غفيرة بنيان صرح شيد اللبنات فالقلب واحد والجموع غفيرة بنيان صرح شيد اللبنات الحمد للرحمن ذي البركات جزل العطاء ومر بالصدقات أذن الكريم بمنه وبفضله وبلطفه كم ينزل الرحمات
You're listening to Radio Seerah, your city, your voice, your radio. Radio Seerah, bringing hearts and communities together.
Allah has given me a cotton candy sky, a little bit of blue, pink, purple and white. I sometimes see the gray and I sometimes feel the rain, but I'll see the colors of the cotton candy sky again. I see the red of my mother's love, the true blue of my father's hugs. I see the orange of my siblings' smile. I see the pink and the white of the love of my life, and the deep, deep green that all children bring are the coolness of my eyes. For Allah has given me a cotton candy sky, a little bit of blue, pink, purple and white. I sometimes see the gray and I sometimes feel the rain, but I'll see the colors of the cotton candy sky again. Whenever I am down, I look up to the sky and I see the signs from Allah Most High. Most of all, I see light, endless light upon light. Mercy from Allah, who is yours and mine. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Rabb al-Alameen. Bismillah, and again I begin. Allah has given me a cotton candy sky, a little bit of blue, pink, purple and white. I sometimes see the gray and I sometimes feel the rain, but I'll see the colors of the cotton candy sky again. I see the yellow like a sunflower smile of an orphan girl who says Alhamdulillah, or a mother who lost her child, sees him waiting on a throne of gold so high, or a father who holds his stride, working hard every day and is firm in his faith, burning bright like a beautiful crimson flame. Says Allah, keep my family safe. For Allah has given me a cotton candy sky, a little bit of blue, pink, purple and white. I sometimes see the gray and I sometimes feel the rain, but I'll see the colors of the cotton candy sky again. Whenever I am down, I look up to the sky and I see the signs from Allah Most High. Most of all, I see light, endless light upon light. Mercy from Allah, who is yours and mine. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Rabb al-Alameen. Bismillah, and again I begin.
Of course, there are times, both yours and mine, when the tears in our eyes sting and blur out the light. But these lows bring the highs of the strength I have inside, to always see my cotton candy sky.
For Allah has given me a cotton candy sky, a little bit of blue, pink, purple and white. I sometimes see the gray and I sometimes feel the rain, but I'll see the colors of the cotton candy sky again.
Mustafa, 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 Aka, 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 Aka. रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत, रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत. कहते हैं मुस्तफा को, कहते हैं मुस्तफा को अग़यार खूबसूरत. रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत. उनका हसीन चेहरा रोशन जबीन वाले, उनका हसीन चेहरा रोशन जबीन वाले. सरता फदिल नशी है, सरता फदिल नशी है, सरकार खूबसूरत. रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत, रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत. कहते हैं मुस्तफा को, कहते हैं मुस्तफा को अग़यार खूबसूरत. रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत. औरत को जिंदगी दी, कहने लगी यतीमी, औरत को जिंदगी दी, कहने लगी यतीमी. देखो जहां में आए, देखो जहां में आए, गमखार खूबसूरत. रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत, रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत. कहते हैं मुस्तफा को, कहते हैं मुस्तफा को अग़यार खूबसूरत. रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत. बाज़ाग वाली नजरें, रुखसार जगमगाते, बाज़ाग वाली नजरें, रुखसार जगमगाते. मेरे नबी की जुल्फे, मेरे नबी की जुल्फे खमदार खूबसूरत. रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत, रब ने बनाया उनको शाहकार खूबसूरत. کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو، کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو اغیار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، سرکار دو جہاں سے جن کا رہا تعلق، سرکار دو جہاں سے جن کا رہا تعلق، وہ غار خوبصورت، وہ غار خوبصورت، کوثر خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو، کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو اغیار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، پڑھ کر درود ان پر ملتی ہے جن کو راحت، پڑھ کر درود ان پر ملتی ہے جن کو راحت، عشق نبی کے ایسے، عشق نبی کے ایسے بیمار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو، کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو اغیار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، پہلے تو اس جہاں میں ظلمت کا تھا بسیرا، پہلے تو اس جہاں میں ظلمت کا تھا بسیرا، پہلے ہے ان کے دم سے، پہلے ہے ان کے دم سے انوار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو، کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو اغیار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، لے جائے رب وہاں پر ایک بار مجھ کو سما، لے جائے رب وہاں پر ایک بار مجھ کو عامر، جس شہر میں ہے ان کا، جس شہر میں ہے ان کا گلزار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو، کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ کو اغیار خوبصورت، رب نے بنایا ان کو شاہکار خوبصورت، مصطفیٰ 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 مصطفیٰ،
ولدي ريحانة وجداني من
أجلك أعزف ألحاني صوتك دوما يطرب روحي ويبدد ظلمة أحزاني صوتك دوما يطرب روحي ويبدد ظلمة أحزاني ولدي ريحانة وجداني من أجلك أعزف ألحاني صوتك دوما يطرب روحي ويبدد ظلمة أحزاني صوتك دوما يطرب روحي ويبدد ظلمة أحزاني وخطاك على كل طريق إذ تلهو بين الأقران تبعث في إحساسي حلما ورديا يملك أشجاني وخطاك على كل طريق إذ تلهو بين الأقران تبعث في إحساسي حلما ورديا يملك أشجاني إقلالتك الحلوة نور بياض يسري بكياني وبراءة حسك يا نغمي شطي إن دربي أعياني إقلالتك الحلوة نور بياض يسري بكياني وبراءة حسك يا نغمي شطي إن دربي أعياني وعيونك إن شاعت بشرا دوما هي أجمل أوطاني لو كان بوسعي يا ولدي لحفظتك بين الأجفان وجعلتك نبضا لفؤادي تشدو دوما بالخفقان وجعلتك سرا في صدري لا يتسرب للآذان يا ولدي معذرة لا أقدر ليس بإمكاني يا ولدي ليس بمقدرتي فاقبل مني فيض حناني ودعائي لله الباري دوما دوما طول زماني أن يرزقني الباري برك في كبري إن رق بناني وكذلك من بعد مماتي أن ينزلني خير مكاني فاسأل للفردوس الأعلى من جنة رب المنان من أغلى عندي من ولدي ريحانة وجداني ولدي يا ولدي ليس بمقدرتي فاقبل مني فيض حناني اسأل للفردوس الأعلى من جنة رب المنان صوتك دوما يطرب روحي ويبدد ظلمة أحزاني
I used to live a life alone, living it just for me, and I had no idea this life would judge my eternity. I look at myself and I wondered who created me. I had to open my heart and open my mind and open my eyes to see.
Open my eyes and see the existence of what's surrounding me. It's more than just chance. It's more than just coincidence. You look around and see the earth, the moon, the sun, and the sky. A beautiful of Allah. So how could you deny?
How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. Lift your head and look up above, and you'll see it so clearly. The stars that glitter all around, the birds that fly over me. I see the rain fall from the sky, and see a seed become a tree. Lift the veil from your heart, worship Allah and you'll succeed. You surely will succeed.
Open my eyes and see the existence of what's surrounding me. It's more than just chance. It's more than just coincidence. The air that I breathe, the food that I need, the plants and the trees, the sun and the seas, you and me, everything you see. So how could you deny?
How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar.
Mustafa, 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 Mustafa. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. जब ज़बां पर मोहम्मद का नाम आ गया, जब ज़बां पर मोहम्मद का नाम आ गया, आसमां से दुरूदो सलाम आ गया, आसमां से दुरूदो सलाम आ गया। मुस्तफा अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व अला आलि मुहम्मद। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व अला आलि मुहम्मद। सोज़े फुरक़त से दिल जब परेशान हुआ, सोज़े फुरक़त से दिल जब परेशान हुआ, लब्बे ला तक़नतू का पयाम आ गया, लब्बे ला तक़नतू का पयाम आ गया। मुस्तफा अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली
كيف لقلبي أن ينساك يا من أحن إلى رؤياك في شدة من أملي سواك سأظل يا ربي أهواك يا من بحالي دوما عليم وقفت ببابك أنت الكريم ربي أنت رجائي فاقبل دعائي واعفو عن ذنبي يا رحيم الله ربي أنت رجائي فاقبل دعائي واعفو عن ذنبي يا رحيم خلقتني في أحسن حال ورزقتني من دون سؤال في سجدة في جوف الليل ذكرت ربي دمعي سال يا من بحالي دوما عليم وقفت ببابك أنت الكريم ربي أنت رجائي فاقبل دعائي واعفو عن ذنبي يا رحيم الله ربي أنت رجائي فاقبل دعائي واعفو عن ذنبي يا رحيم يا من بحالي دوما عليم وقفت ببابك أنت الكريم ربي أنت رجائي فاقبل دعائي واعفو عن ذنبي يا رحيم الله ربي أنت رجائي فاقبل دعائي واعفو عن ذنبي يا رحيم
میرے چمن کے تمام پھولوں رہو سلامت دعا یہی ہے تمہاری خاطر جو کی دعائیں قبول ہوں گی رجا یہی ہے میرے چمن کے تمام پھولوں رہو سلامت دعا یہی ہے تمہاری خاطر جو کی دعائیں قبول ہوں گی رجا یہی ہے ہمیں نہ معلوم تھا کہ ہم بھی کسی کی خاطر یوں رو سکیں گے کسی کے غم کو نہ سہ سکیں گے جو وہ نہ سوئے نہ سو سکیں گے مگر بنے جو مولی میں دی تو کر گئے زندگی میں ہے وہ جو نہ تھا سوچا کہ کر سکیں گے قبول ہوں گی رجا یہی ہے چمن کے تمام پھولوں رہو سلامت دعا یہی ہے تمہاری خاطر جو کی دعائیں قبول ہوں گی رجا یہی ہے تمہیں خدا کا وہ قرب حاصل ہو تم پہ رحمت کا بر نازل پیام رب کے بنو مجاہد کے جھنڈائیں دی کہ تم ہو حامل کہ روز محشر جو رب بلائے کہے جو مانگو گے ہوگا حاصل میرے چمن کے تمام پھولوں رہو سلامت دعا یہی ہے
قبول ہوں گی رجا یہی ہے. ہو سایہ عرش ہم کو حاصل ہمارے دل کی صدا یہی ہے. ہو یوں تو آسی مگر اے مولا میری تو جائیں پناہ یہی ہے. نہ تجھ سے مانگے تو کس سے مانگے کہ در ہمارا صدا یہی ہے. ہو بنتے طاہر کہ اس چمن میں بہار دائم دعا یہی ہے. میرے چمن کے تمام پھولو رہو سلامت دعا یہی ہے. رہو سلامت جو کی دعائیں دعا یہی ہے. رجا یہی ہے. میرے چمن کے تمام پھولو رہو سلامت دعا یہی ہے. تمہاری خاطر جو کی دعائیں قبول ہوں گی رجا یہی ہے.
آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد. آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد. آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد. ہے یوں تو کثرت سے نام لیکن 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 سب سے ہے پیارا نام محمد. سب سے ہے پیارا نام محمد. آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد. آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد. اللہ اکبر رب العلا نے اللہ اکبر رب العلا نے اللہ اکبر رب العلا نے اللہ اکبر رب العلا نے. ہر شے پہ لکھا نام محمد ہر شے پہ لکھا نام محمد. آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد. کراچی میں پاکستان میں ایک عالم دین ہے علامہ اویسی صاحب. تو وہ ایک مرتبہ پاکستان کے ایک شہر کوئٹہ میں تشریف لے گئے بیان کے لیے. تو وہاں کے علماء سے ملاقات ہوئی. ان علماء نے ایک پتھر دکھایا جس پر یا اللہ اور یا محمد لکھا ہوا تھا. تو ان علماء کا بیان کرنا یہ ہے کہ سائنسدانوں نے اس پتھر پر ریسرچ کی ہے تو انہوں نے بتایا ہے کہ یہ پتھر 500 کروڑ پرانا پتھر ہے. 500 کروڑ پرانا. تو اس کا مطلب مولانا جمیل الرحمن قاضی صاحب فرماتے ہیں تو یہ حقیقت ہے. اللہ اکبر رب العلا نے اللہ اکبر رب العلا نے ہر شے پہ لکھا نام محمد ہر شے پہ لکھا نام محمد. آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد نوح و خلیل و موسیٰ و عیسیٰ 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 سب کا ہے آقا نام محمد سب کا ہے آقا نام محمد آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد رکھو لحد میں جس دم عزیزو رکھو لحد میں جس دم عزیزو مجھ کو سنانا نام محمد مجھ کو سنانا نام محمد آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد پوچھے گا مولا ہے لایا کیا کیا 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 میں یہ کہوں گا نام محمد میں یہ کہوں گا نام محمد آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد اپنے رضا کے اپنے رضا کے قربان جاؤں اپنے رضا کے قربان جاؤں اچھے رضا کے سچے رضا کے پیارے رضا کے قربان جاؤں میرے رضا کے قربان جاؤں جس نے سکھایا نام محمد جس نے سکھایا نام محمد آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد رنج و علم میں ہے نام لیوا دے دے سہارا نام محمد بیڑا تباہی پہ آ گیا ہے دے دے سہارا نام محمد اپنے جمیل رضوی کے دل میں 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 آجا سما جا آجا سما جا آقا آجا سما جا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد آنکھوں کا تارا نام محمد دل کا اجالا نام محمد
شاہ مدینہ شاہ مدینہ طیبہ کے والی سارے نبی تیرے در کے سوالی شاہ مدینہ شاہ مدینہ طیبہ کی والی سارے نبی تیرے در کے سوالی شاہ مدینہ شاہ مدینہ تیرے لیے ہی دنیا بنی ہے نیلے فلک کی چادر تنی ہے نیلے فلک کی چادر تنی ہے نیلے فلک کی چادر تنی ہے تو اگر نہ ہوتا تو اگر نہ ہوتا دنیا تھی خالی سارے نبی تیرے در کے سوالی شاہ مدینہ شاہ مدینہ جلوے ہے سارے تیرے ہی دم سے آباد عالم تیرے کرم سے آباد عالم تیرے کرم سے آباد عالم تیرے کرم سے باقی ہر ایک شعر باقی ہر ایک شعر نقش خیالی سارے نبی تیرے در کے سوالی شاہ مدینہ شاہ مدینہ تو نے جہاں کی محفل سجائی
You're listening to Radio Seerah. Now it's time for the news.
A man who murdered a 7-year-old girl in Sunderland more than 3 decades ago has been jailed for a minimum of 29 years. Nikki Allen's body was found in a derelict warehouse near her family's home in 1992. But her killer, David Boyd, now 55, was only convicted this month thanks to new DNA testing techniques. Detective Lisa Thika, a senior investigator on the case, wishes she could have given details for Nikki's mum sooner.
There's moments where I can see where she's looking at me and she's wanting answers, but I can't give her the answers. So it's been really hard for Sharon, for David, Nikki's dad, and the rest of the family.
The paedophile and disgraced entertainer Rolf Harris has died. His death certificate puts it down to frailty of old age at 93 and neck cancer. In 2014, he was jailed for indecent assaults, including against children. Jim Gamble from the Child Exploitation and Online Protection Command says he's a celebrity who abused his fame.
They were able to hide in plain sight. They made people believe they were too good ever to do anything that would hurt a child. You know, he may now rest in peace or otherwise, but his victims, you know, as young as 7 and 8, they will carry a lifetime of pain.
South Wales police have condemned violence towards emergency services and the damage caused during riots in Cardiff last night. Disorder broke out after 2 teenagers died in a crash in Ely. International students who come to the UK will no longer be able to bring family with them. Only specific circumstances will be taken into account as part of government efforts to bring immigration down. We're being told the UK economy will no longer endure a recession this year. The International Monetary Fund now expects a growth of 0.4%. And British cyclist Geraint Thomas has retaken the overall lead at the Giro d'Italia. The Ineos rider finished second on the 15th stage to move 18 seconds clear of Portugal's João Almeida, who was today's winner. That's the latest. I'm Anna Bates.
You're listening to Radio Seerah, 1575 AM, full-time Islamic community radio station.
کیا آپ جانتے ہیں کہ آپ اپنی تنخواہ میں اضافے کے مستحق ہو سکتے ہیں؟ حکومت نے 1 اپریل سے نیشنل لیونگ ویج اور کم سے کم تنخواہ دونوں میں اضافہ کیا ہے۔ قانون کے مطابق آپ کے امپلائر کو ان میں سے کسی ایک کا ادا کرنا ضروری ہے۔ آپ جو کچھ وصول کریں گے اس کا انحصار اس بات پر ہے کہ آپ کی عمر کتنی ہے۔ 23 سال یا اس سے زیادہ عمر والوں کے لیے نیشنل لیونگ ویج ریٹس اپلائی ہوں گے اور یہ 10.42 پاؤنڈ فی گھنٹہ ہیں۔ اگر آپ کی عمر 16 سے 22 سال کے درمیان ہے تو آپ پر نیشنل منیمم ویج ریٹس اپلائی ہوں گے اور ان میں بھی اضافہ ہوا ہے۔ یاد رکھیے، حکومت کی نیشنل لیونگ ویج اور منیمم ویج حکومتی قانون کے مطابق ہے۔ اس بات کو یقینی بنائیں کہ آپ نے جو معاوضہ کمایا ہے اسے وصول کریں۔ آج ہی وزٹ کیجیے gov.uk/checkyourpay۔
اللہ اکبر اللہ اکبر۔
You're listening to Radio Seerah, available now on our apps on Android and Apple.
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم نحمده ونصلی علی رسوله الکریم کتاب الایمان
باب قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بني الإسلام على خمس أي بني الإيمان على خمس. Iman is built upon five. وهو قول وفعل, and it is a statement of the tongue and it is the actions of the limbs. ويزيد وينقص, and it increases and decreases. So in this hadith, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam is mentioning that بني الإسلام على خمس أي بني الإيمان على خمس. Iman is built upon five: shahadatu an la ilaha illallah wa anna muhammadan rasulullah, the testification that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of Allah, wa iqamu salati, and the establishment of salah, wa ita'u zakati, and the giving of zakah, wal hajju, and the pilgrimage once in a lifetime if a person can afford it, was sawm wa Ramadan, and the fasting in the month of Ramadan. And these are all the of actions which are done with the body, and also the testimony of the tongue, which is to say the shahadatain ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna muhammadar rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. According to Umar ibn Abdul Aziz radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that inna lil imani fara'ida wa shara'iya wa hududan wa sunanan. Indeed, for iman are obligations and the laws and the limits and the traditions. The obligations is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for us compulsory upon us, and the laws in the actions, the arkans, and wahududan, and the limits, meaning the mamnu'at which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited us from, wasunanan, and the traditions which are the customs and laws which are full of iman, full of a'mal. فَمَنْ اسْتَكْمَلَهَا اسْتَكْمَلَ الْإِيمَانِ. So whoever completes it, i.e. one of them, he has completed iman. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَكْمِلْهَا لَمْ يَسْتَكْمَلَ الْإِيمَانِ. And the one who does not complete it, any one of them has not completed iman. Further on, Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala says, al-yaqinu al-iman kulluhu. Yaqeen, meaning conviction, is iman, all of it. Meaning iman, all of it is conviction. And as-sabru nisful iman, and patience is half of iman. Jazakallahu khairan wa ahsanal jaza. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh Allah, Lord of East and the Lord of the West. Oh Allah, Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah. And the herbs and the trees do prostrate to Him, and the heaven He raised it high, and He made the balance that you may not be inordinate in respect of measure, and the earth He has set it for living creatures. Oh Allah, Lord of East and the Lord of the West. Oh Allah, Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah. Therein is fruit and palms having shaded clusters, the grain with its husk and fragrance. He has made the two seas to flow freely, so that they meet together. Oh Allah, oh Allah, Lord of East and the Lord of the West. Oh Allah, Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, Ya Rabbi. Oh Allah, Ya Rabbi. Oh Allah, Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah. جئت في كفي منايا جئت أرجوك النجاة جئت والقلب ينادي قد شجى روحي صدى جئت مشتاق الحنايا للذي أرجو عطاء يا ملاذي والأماني في ضلوعي صارخات جئت من ذنبي أعاني في الليالي الحالكات جئت والشوق دعاني بالعيون الدامعات رب طهر لي جناني رب ألهمني الثبات في ضياع من خطايا في دهاليز الحياة جئت في كفي منايا جئت أرجوك النجاة جئت والقلب ينادي قد شجى روحي صدى جئت مشتاق الحنايا للذي أرجو عطاء يا بديعا قد تعالى فوق عرش فوق ماء يا محيطا بالبرايا يا مليكا في السماء يا عليما بالنوايا قد أتيناك ظما حاش إن جئنا عطاشا أن ترد لنا رجاء في ضياع من خطايا في دهاليز الحياة جئت في كفي منايا جئت أرجوك النجاة جئت والقلب ينادي قد شجى روحي صدى جئت مشتاق الحنايا للذي أرجو عطاء أي كون يا إلهي أي آيات عظام أي نور عاد فينا بالمنى بعد العتام خالق الأكوان ربي بارئا كل الأنام من إذا تاهت خطانا دلنا رغم الظلام في ضياع من خطايا في دهاليز الحياة جئت في كفي منايا جئت أرجوك النجاة جئت والقلب ينادي قد شجى روحي صدى جئت مشتاق الحنايا للذي أرجو عطاء يا غريقا في بحار من ضياع أو خطايا ثق برب من أتاه صادقا نال العطايا عادل بر رحيم رازق كل البرايا من أتاه في يقين لن يبالي بالرزايا
الشمس الرائعة الشمس قد طلعت فالدنيا عرس والفرحة في الأرض انتشرت والبهجة حلت والأنس الشمس الرائعة الشمس قد طلعت فالدنيا عرس والفرحة في الأرض انتشرت والبهجة حلت والأنس قالت للناس صباح الخير صباح الخير قالتها للزهر وللطير صباح الخير صباح الخير قالت للناس صباح الخير صباح الخير قالتها للزهر وللطير صباح الخير صباح الخير هيا هبوا هيا سيروا هيا هبوا هيا سيروا في الأرض فهذا وقت السير الشمس الرائعة الشمس قد طلعت فالدنيا عرس والفرحة في الأرض انتشرت والبهجة حلت والأنس فانتشر الطير على عجل والناس مضوا نحو العمل رجل يصنع رجل يبني رجل يجني قرص العسل الشمس الرائعة الشمس قد طلعت فالدنيا عرس والفرحة في الأرض انتشرت والبهجة حلت والأنس قالت لأشعتها سيري 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 ما بين بيوت وقصور سيري 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 قالت لأشعتها سيري 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 ما بين بيوت وقصور سيري 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 بالعدل فلا فرق لدينا ما بين غني وفقير سيري 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 الشمس الرائعة الشمس قد طلعت فالدنيا عرس والفرحة في الأرض انتشرت والبهجة حلت والأنس لولاها لم ينمو الشجر في الأرض ولا عاش البشر فتبارك من قد أبدعها الله 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 الحي المقتدر الشمس الرائعة الشمس قد طلعت فالدنيا عرس والفرحة في الأرض انتشرت والبهجة حلت والأنس الشمس الرائعة الشمس قد طلعت فالدنيا عرس والفرحة في الأرض انتشرت والبهجة حلت والأنس والبهجة حلت والأنس والبهجة حلت والأنس والبهجة حلت والأنس.
You're listening to Radio Seerah, 1575 AM, full-time Islamic community radio station.
وإذا الأحبة قد رموك بريبة وسمعت من فمهم حديثا يفترى والكون صار أمام عينك ضيقا وطريقك المعتاد زاد توعرا وبقيت مكتوف اليدين مقيدا والليل من جفنيك يسلبك الكرى وإذا الأحبة قد رموك بريبة وسمعت من فمهم حديثا يفترى والكون صار أمام عينك ضيقا وطريقك المعتاد زاد توعرا وبقيت مكتوف اليدين مقيدا والليل من جفنيك يسلبك الكرى والكل أغلق في عيونك بابه وغدوت في سبل الحياة محيرا سر نحو ربك لا تعود نحو الورى من عاد نحو الخلف تاه وما درى لا تشكون لغير ربك حسرة فمن اشتكى للناس زاد تحسرا والكل أغلق في عيونك بابه وغدوت في سبل الحياة محيرا سر نحو ربك لا تعود نحو الورى
من عاد نحو الخلف تاه وما درى لا تشكون لغير ربك حسرة فمن اشتكى للناس زاد تحسرا لا تيأسن وفي السماء مفرج للكرب إن ضاقت تراه ميسرا أقبل إليه بذلة سله الرضا فرضاه جنات وأحسن منظرا يمددك بالفرج القريب ملبيا وإذا تأخر كان خيرا آخرا لا تيأسن وفي السماء مفرج للكرب إن ضاقت تراه ميسرا أقبل إليه بذلة سله الرضا فرضاه جنات وأحسن منظرا يمددك بالفرج القريب ملبيا وإذا تأخر كان خيرا آخرا وإذا تأخر كان خيرا آخرا
She traveled to Mecca, came back foster mother, a beautiful honor. Halima was honored to carry Muhammad, an orphan Allah blessed. Halima was privileged. Halima, 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 Halima میں تیرے مقدراتو صدقے تو مدنی دا جھولا جھولیں دی بھی ہوسے نی سونے دا مکھڑا نورانی نورانی تو تک دی تے رہیے جو مہندی بھی ہوسے حلیمہ 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 نہلا کے دھلا کے تے سرما بھی پاگے تو ٹھوڑی ہلا کے ہنسیں دی بھی ہو سے نہلا کے دھلا کے تے سرما بھی پاگے تو ٹھوڑی ہلا کے ہنسیں دی بھی ہو سے حلیمہ 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 تو انگلی نہ پاکے تاویڑے دے اندر خدا دے سجنو تو رہندی بھی ہو سے حلیمہ میں تیرے مقدرات و صدقے تو مدنی دا جھولا جو